Hello, Chickasaw Country fans. This morning, we're here in the heart of Healdton, Oklahoma, a charming small town in Carter County, located just 30 miles northwest of Armory. We're about to take you on a hometown adventure with Healdton's own superstar and OU women's basketball head coach, Sherri Coale. Coach Coale will take us on a journey around her beloved hometown, sharing with us her personal stories about growing up here and how it has shaped her into the successful woman she is today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Welcome home, Coach Coale.
Thank you so much.
How's the team looking this year?
Practice just began, so I don't know all that much about them yet, but I'm very excited. Group of young freshmen, a lot of energy, great feeling in the gym, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes. Everybody's looking forward to basketball this year, I tell you. The Sooners, last year we enjoyed watching you, so we're ready for you this year.
Thank you. We're ready to play.
Well, good. Well, we know you're busy, and we want to thank you so much for coming back to your hometown. How does it feel to get back to the streets that kind of molded you?
It's always fun to come back. A little nostalgic, This was Main Street is where the homecoming parade made its way down. It was always a really big deal. Football season right now. I picked up a copy of the Healdton Herald and was just reading about the football season. So this was the sort of town that really revolved around the high school and what happened in the public schools. So it's a great place to grow up.
Love growing up in a small town myself. So glad you could come back. Glad we could spend a couple hours here reminiscing and learning just a little bit more about Healdton. So we're starting out today here at Joe B's Grill. I know Joe B's wasn't here when you were here, so tell us a little bit about the restaurants that you grew up on here in Healdton.
Well, I grew up on two major restaurants, Champs Dairy Queen, which was right across the street from the high school, and that's where we all ran for lunch. And then Joy's Grill was on Main Street, and that was our favorite. You had to save up because it was a little bit more expensive. And so you hope that Larry Armstrong was in there for people who remember him because he'd always buy you lunch. But a great place to get burgers and a great place to gather too. It had a great feel about it. Old school stove behind the bar, and they cook them right there in front of you. And Joy was terrific, the whole family. So typical small town hangout place, go get great food and have great community.
So that's where you went on Friday night after the ball game, huh?
I think I went home on Friday night after the ball game, but I had many lunches there for sure.
Well, growing up in South Central Oklahoma, good food, good family, good friends, but there's also lots of other things to do. What were some of the things you liked to do? Were you a lake girl when you weren't playing basketball or preparing for basketball? Did you go to the lake? Did you hang out at Turner Falls? What did you do while you were?
Well, I played every sport that we could possibly play while I was in school. When I wasn't playing a sport, I was in the choir or in the school play. So most of my time revolved around Healdton High School. But in the summertime when we weren't in school, I played summer basketball at the Y in Ardmore. And we also spent a lot of time at Lake Murray. And I don't think we understood when, growing up here, what a beautiful place that was and what a treasure it was. It was not until I moved to the Oklahoma City area and would think about going to a lake and would come back and realize, oh my goodness, that was 20 miles, 30 miles from my house. I had such access to a beautiful place. And we did spend a lot of time in the summer.
Do your kids like to go to the lake? Is that something that they like to do in the summer?
Very much. Both my kids love going to the lake. They love boating, they love skiing, tubing, all those things. So they're very much into it.
Good. Tourism is big for the Chickasaw Nation, big for South Central Oklahoma, and Healdton, is right here in the heart of it. It's close to Turner Falls, close to Lake Murray. So I'm sure that you had a good time in this area, and all the people that come and visit this area will have a lot of things to do when they're here. So.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people from the metro area who come to Turner Falls and who come to Lake Murray to escape. And I had to chuckle this past summer that my daughter and her friends who just graduated from high school were all excited about making a trek down to Turner Falls. And it was just funny to think, it was so ordinary for us because we went all the time. And again, we just didn't know how great we had it.
Well, thanks for being here with us at Joe B's Grill. I think we're going to head down the road to another special place. So,
Can we get a cheeseburger first? Come on.
For breakfast?
I'll have them anytime, Dad.
So we'll check. We're going to go on down the road and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Perfect.
All right. So, Coach, this is where it all began.
Yeah, it's an awesome place, isn't it?
It is. How does it feel to come back here?
It's a little bit surreal. I spent so much time here by myself, coming in, after school and before school and on the weekends, and then of course, competing here all the time. Great place, a lot of fantastic memories here.
Did you always dream about being a coach? And did you even think about college coach? And the Sooners at that?
No, I always wanted to be a coach. Yes, I wanted to teach English and coach basketball. That's what. When I went to college on day one, that's what I said I wanted to do, and when I finished, that's exactly what I went out and did. But I never really thought about collegiate coaching at all. I played collegiately at Oklahoma Christian, but I felt so influenced by my high school athletic experience that I felt as a high school coach I could really impact people and make a difference in the lives of young people. So that was really my objective, was to coach ball and teach English, and I never really even thought about coaching collegiately until this opportunity presented itself.
And what did it feel like that first day that you walked out on the court and, with that OU Sooner gear on? What was the emotions that ran through your mind?
Well, it was a little out-of-body experience, truthfully. I grew up in a household that was Boomer Sooner all the way. When the football games were on Saturday, you didn't make any noise. It was on the radio, everybody was quiet, you sat around and listened and, stood up and did the fight song and the whole 9 yards. So to actually be there and be the coach was a little surreal at the beginning. But there was just so much to do. There was so much to be done with our program that you really didn't have time to sit around and think about it very much. I remember the first day of practice on the Lloyd Noble floor, Jay and Ross, my assistant, and we ran out of the tunnel and we were like, really, is this our job? Are you kidding me?
We get to do this
We
every
get
day?
to do this, yeah. So it's still, I still feel incredibly honored to be the steward of that program.
I bet, I can't imagine, but if you could go back, or if you could come today and talk to one of these girls or a boy here and say something about chasing your dream or being what you want to be, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, don't underestimate yourself. Anything is possible. I think my life is living proof of that, and it's just about being attentive to what you have to do that day, whatever is before you. And I always tell young coaches who are wanting to know how they can coach at the highest level, how do you do that? Well, you do whatever you're doing right now incredibly well. You do an impeccable job at the spot you're in, and that's how you move forward and you do that. I think sometimes kids from small towns think, I don't play against the competition that they see in Oklahoma City, or I don't get to pit myself against the type of athletes that are in Dallas or Chicago or Atlanta. And that's true. There aren't that many great athletes in this small rural area, but you can become extraordinary at a skill set. You can become extraordinary at your strengths, and there's no limit to what you can do.
Yeah, there's not much distance between Healdton, Oklahoma and Norman, Oklahoma, but I'm sure when you're a senior in high school, it's a long ways.
Well, sure, absolutely. I went to Oklahoma Christian and on the other side of Oklahoma City, and I felt like I was going to New York. It seemed so far at that time, but what a great place to be from, and I'm so thankful for the preparation I received here to be able to do the things that I've done.
Well, I think coming from a small town, you live and breathe sports and family and friends, and so I bet you're truly blessed to have come from Healdton, Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely. I carry all the wonderful people who impacted me here. I carry them with me every day in all that I do.
Well, it's a true testament to you and to the town.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Well, Coach, this looks like a pretty important part of your life here. Tell us a little bit about what you felt when you got to put the blue and gold on.
Well, a funny story leading up to that is that I had a piece of spiral notebook paper in my locker and began in that hallway and moved around as I changed hallways growing up through college, and it had three things that I wanted to do. I wanted to go to state, and I wanted to be an all-stater, and I wanted to get a full ride to college to play basketball. and I tore that piece of notebook paper and kept it with me and posted it in my locker where I would read it every single day when I changed classes. And in the spring of '83, I was fortunate enough to got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and went to Mom's Mini Mart and bought a Daily Oklahoman because my coach wouldn't tell me whether or not I made it. I had to wait and look and see in the paper like everybody else, and I had on my slippers and my PJs and a coat, and I went into Mini Mart and bought the Daily Oklahoma and came back to my living room and laid it down on the floor. I'll never forget, I was so nervous, I was shaking, and opened it up, and there was my name and my picture, and I was on the Small West squad, and it was a reward for a lot of years of dedication and commitment to something that was really important to me.
Well, when you got to play in the game, tell us a little bit about playing in the game. I mean, because very few people get to do that.
It was a nice bridge, I will say, from high school athletics to college athletics, because I'll never forget driving the lane in the All-State game, and John Blake's sister was about 6'4", and she was planted under the rim and had her arms outstretched, and I was headed toward the basket. And I remember just making a nice, beautiful U-turn, dribbling, went right back out to the top of the key. I didn't want any of that. I hadn't seen anything that looked like that, and it was sort of a welcome to the next level of what this is going to be like. But I made some great friends through the All-State experience, and it was really, really a special week.
Good. Well, have you enjoyed your time here at Healdton High School?
Oh, I have loved it. The school looks awesome. The new gym floor is beautiful. I had no idea this trophy case was even here, so it's been really fun to come back. So thanks for allowing me the opportunity to do that.
Well, we'll walk down memory lane with you anytime you want to.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back. Well, Coach, our time is drawing to an end. So tell us about this last and final place that we're in. What memories does it hold for you?
Well, this is the Armory, and I spent a lot of time on weekends honing my game here. Sometimes there were Jeeps parked on the floor that we had to slip into neutral and push back, not tell the federal government. That was probably a violation of some sort. But I had Bobby Treadwell was in charge of the guard, and I would go by his house and get a key and come and shoot, and it was freezing cold. There was whatever the temperature was outside, that doubled is what you had in here, and you just dealt with it. I've shot with a scarf around my neck and a toboggan on, and then it was so hot you couldn't hardly breathe. But I really believe like this facility is probably where I became a basketball player.
Kind of the house that built you. Huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of real true skill set that was developed here, and then also the intangibles that come from just getting through adversity and getting through the elements and finding a way to get your workout in and get it done.
Well, you mentioned that you would get a key from Mr. Treadwell. Well, were there times that you didn't have a key, or?
I crawled through that window, and it wasn't that nice. There was a window here that didn't quite shut, which added to the temperature of whatever was happening outside. And up on several occasions, I pried that up and shimmied through on my belly. And the interesting part would be it was pitch black in here, and the light box was somewhere over on this far wall. And so you never really knew what you were going to encounter between the window and the far wall. And that was the real trick of the deal, was feeling your way all the way through. And then my dad came with me to rebound or whatever, find the lights, and then get to the door and let him in. And it was always an ordeal. But again, I think that's where I got my commitment and my work ethic from.
Well, we won't, maybe the girls won't hear that breaking and entering story, so we'll try to keep that out. But it's been a great time with you today, just to be able to go to some places that have just a little bit piece of you there, and you just hold dear, and we want to thank you for sharing those with us, because we are very proud that you are from Chickasaw Country and from South Central Oklahoma, and we're proud of you, and we're proud to be here in Healdton, and we want to thank you again for allowing us to travel this journey with you.
Well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come back. It's been a really fun morning, very touching. I got to see some wonderful people who were very impactful in my life. So not only the places, but the people along the way. It's a great place to be from.
Good, and maybe we'll see you at a national championship this year.
I hope so.
All right. There you have it, your exclusive highlight reel of Healdton, Oklahoma, from former resident and current head coach of the OU women's basketball team, Coach Sherri Coale. Plan a visit to her hometown and come explore a Chickasaw Country gym with sparkling southern hospitality, good local eats, a beautiful Oklahoma landscape, and rising sports stars. We're leaving you today from the Healdton Oil Museum. Come and see us soon here in Chickasaw.